Hello, Sci-Fi Gangsters, the show that we talk about science fiction and fantasy comic books. This is the third time we started recording this. We've had bugs throughout this whole thing, and I must say, we've had some great content already recorded. I made some fantastic jokes on air, off the air. I made a Ghostbusters joke that was fantastic. No one laughed at it.
No.
But we're starting completely over here, and that's totally fine. Anthony Denard, Jeremy Shepard, AcidTrain, and of course Rivers Langley, usually based out of Los Angeles, California. Remember that joke about the LA thing? I said locals call it LA. Everyone enjoyed that one. We can't have that one today. It's totally fine. But Rivers, you are actually broadcasting not very far from us, from Auburn, Alabama. Rivers, how you doing?
I'm great. How's it going?
I'm doing fantastic. Let's do a quick recap, just short bullet points of what we've already talked about. We talked about the monolith. We talked about a comedy show where there was a storm that we did together. We
were talking national parks. We were talking monoliths. We were talking about sleeping at a truck stop in Tupelo, Mississippi, and rain coming in sideways into a CrossFit gym, a very intimidating CrossFit gym. I believe on the walls was written the phrase, what is it? Sweat is your fat crying for mercy.
What? That is not true.
Is that not true? What was it?
Not true.
Was that not yours? Am I I might have conflated this with some other MMA gym I was in, but
I think you are thinking of another CrossFit gym comedy show that you did.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. So that's my best memory of it. So obviously my memory is bad.
Yeah. So great times. Obviously, it's something that you think about a lot.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so before we even got talking, we've gotten cut out a couple of times. So this is what we're gonna do. I'm not gonna go to you first, Rivers. I'm moving on. I think you're cursed. We're gonna go first to Jeremy. So what we do here on this show, if you're not familiar, is that we catch up first, and we do our little topic, and then we finish off with a trivia game. That's kind of what we do. It's a geek trivia game where we all lose to Jeremy. I almost won last time.
You did,
and I should have won. I should have won the trivia game.
You should have known the answer to that last question.
I should have known because you said, where does the zombie thing come from? I said, oh, it comes from Africa. You said which one, and then I switched my guess.
He didn't say which one. He said which part.
Wait,
said,
Togo and Benin, baby. Come on.
There you go. All right, so right now we're going to catch up. We're going to start off with Jeremy Shepard. Jeremy, how you doing? What's new?
I'm good. So, like the past week, the most exciting thing for me was the big Disney investor dump yesterday. So there was a lot of exciting Star Wars news. So in one day, there was the announcement that Hayden Christensen was coming back to play Vader in the Obi-Wan series. Ahsoka is getting her own live-action series with Rosario Dawson.
Mm-hmm.
A new trailer for The Bad Batch. The announcement that Taika Waititi is going to make a Star Wars movie. And that Patty Jenkins is making a Rogue Squadron movie. So any of those things are exciting all by themselves, but altogether, it's almost too much to process.
Now, I want to pick one of your things that you mentioned here, Rogue Squadron. Didn't they already have a Rogue Squadron movie, or is that what am I thinking about here?
That's Rogue One.
I'm thinking of Rogue One, which is a whole different thing.
Rogue Squadron is the old N64 and GameCube game from back in the day.
Correct.
And I'm sure has a bajillion comic books I've never read attached to it, but that's what I remember it from is playing it on N64 and later GameCube.
Would you say that you're more excited about the Star Wars stuff? Because there's been a lot of Marvel stuff that came out recently that I'm pretty excited about as well. What do you think about that?
No, I'm more excited about Star Wars stuff.
Yeah.
Interesting. And I'm trying to think of one of the things. What's one of the things that was mentioned?
I think there's a Marvel Star Wars crossover. I think that's what's going to happen.
Let's don't do that. Let's don't do that. Let's don't conflate these.
They're making.
You never know. Just saying.
That was, if you remember on Parks and Rec a few years ago, they had Patton Oswalt was improvising a filibuster speech and proposed an actually pretty good idea of how to combine those universes.
Hulk smash Death Star.
So which one are you most looking forward to, Jeremy?
Honestly, probably Hayden Christensen coming back as Vader.
How are they going to do that, by the way? Like, is he just gonna have his helmet off a bunch or what?
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming he'll have his helmet off. He'll get, like there's a scene in Rebels where Ahsoka knocks half of it, and so you get like a half. Anakin face. So probably stuff like that. And I mean, realistically, Hayden Christensen, just in the suit.
I do want to hear Hayden Christensen offensively try to emulate James Earl Jones is what I really want.
I just want to know how many times is he going to complain about sand, right? Is he going to be complaining as Darth Vader's voice? I really hate sand. It gets everywhere.
It was one scene in one movie. It just spawned a lot of memes.
But from my point of view, the sand is evil.
So I'm actually a little bit excited about the Loki trailer that came out. Did you see the Loki trailer?
Oh, somebody told me about that he's like DB Cooper or something in it. That sounds fucking dope.
There's a reference for him being DB Cooper, which I did not know who that person was until I saw that trailer. I looked it up.
Oh, there's a great HBO documentary that dropped like 2 weeks ago. It's not like every other HBO documentary where it'll take you half your life to watch. It's just one like hour-and-a-half long movie. It's real good.
There you go, DB Cooper. This is what I understand about the story about DB Cooper. He gets in an airplane. He holds it hostage. He asks for money, and then he jumps out of the plane, and then he disappears.
Yes, he's never heard from again. And then I think that's in the late 60s. And then I think in the 80s at some point they found some of his money in the woods in Washington, and that's the only trace. Like a kid, and it wasn't even all of it. A kid found like a small little packet of money that the serial numbers matched the money that he stole, and that's it. That's all they've ever found of the guy. But
I thought some dude like showed up somewhere in the early 2000s or late 90s or something who claimed to be him.
Well, that's kind of what the HBO documentary is about. Is they are kind of talking to the widows and the children of all of the men who claim to be DB Cooper, because there's like 7 or 8 of them that have some credible. So that's kind of what the movie's actually less about the hijacking and more about the cult of DB Cooper, about all the people who kind of claim to be him. So I think it's very cool that they're attaching Loki to that story, especially of like he's this kind of trickster god or whatever. It's kind of perfect for that.
One thing I did enjoy, and Jeremy, you might, if you're on the DragonCon Facebook thing, there's a shot of the Marriott in there. They do like a weird. It's supposed to be like a science fiction hotel, and they do a shot where they go up, and it's clearly the Marriott.
Oh, that's the one with the big central courtyard, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it was in Spider-Man too.
Well, it was also in the movie Blockers with John Cena and my next door neighbor, who's a comedian out in LA named Andrew Lopez, helped produce that movie and was in a scene in the film, and they cut his scene with John Cena because he's in one scene of the movie, but then he was supposed to fall, or I think Cena is supposed to fall down like that whole balcony, like middle shaft thing, and land on my buddy, and they ended up cutting it from the last thing. But yeah, that they film everything in Atlanta, so that thing ends up being in a lot of stuff.
I've only had one encounter in Atlanta. Rivers, I don't know if you know this, but I'm in a PhD program in Atlanta at Georgia State University. And when
he likes to bring that up a lot, by the way.
When I was walking,
home of Album 88, one of the best college radio stations in the world.
There you go. I was walking downtown to go get a Viva, a delicious Mediterranean restaurant, get some food, and they had some production stuff set up. The only prop I saw was, it looked like a light, but it said NYPD on it. So I guess it was supposed to represent New York with them. So there you go. There's an interesting fact for everybody about my life.
How long ago was that? It might have been some Avengers stuff or something.
Yeah, I think it was actually. I actually think it was for Spider-Man. Because
okay.
There was a lot of rumors going around, a lot of chatter around campus from my students there saying that they were filming stuff down there. So.
Gotcha. Yeah, the thing I heard about Spider-Man is they're bringing back old Alfred. Christ, what's his name?
Molina.
Alfred Molina. There we go. I swear to God, I almost said Alfred E. Newman, and I kept stopping my brain from saying it. I was like, it's not Alfred E. Newman. Stop saying that. Yeah, Alfred Molina.
So is the next Doctor Strange going to be a Spider-Man Doctor Strange team up? Is that what it's going to be?
No, I don't think so. It's going to be all like space based.
Okay. All right, there you go, Jeremy. That was your little bit. But we'll go ahead and move on to Acid.
And now we're on to trivia. Big week for me, actually. Rivers, you may not know, I drive a school bus. Because the insurance is just phenomenal.
Hey, you're wearing the auto headphones right now, baby.
I'm telling you, dude. So one of the kids contracted that beer disease, something about drinking too many Coronas, and so now my route went from like I dropped off my kids this afternoon, and it took 5 minutes. Okay, that's how short it was. It was just in and out, done, home, finished. It was fantastic. I mean, I hate that the kids are sick, or if or whatever.
I'm gonna miss those little.
I'm gonna miss those little. Anyway, no. But what the crazy thing is, though, is I mean, you always hate when something like this happens. But why did it have to happen to the good kids? Okay, like the good kids on the bus are the ones that are now not there, and I'm still left with those little annoying other ones that can't sit still and shut their mouths. Those are the ones that are immune to everything. I mean, They will never get sick. They will never miss a day of school. They will be there early just to make sure that you get them on time and make sure that they are the loudest so that that they're there. It's just how it goes.
Strom Thurmond died at 100. Assholes live forever, my friend.
They just, man, it's ridiculous. But anyway, so that's the big news that happened on the bus this week. And that was my 6th grade group. Wasn't too bad. I don't have too many of them anyway, but you kind of hate that it happens. So, and just before we get to the next little bit, Anthony, the wheels on the bus, they do go round and round, just so you know.
Thank you. It's something that I've always wanted to know what the wheels on the bus do, and I'm glad you brought it up.
I figured you'd like to know.
Just so we can anger Jeremy every time that we bring that joke up during this show. We're going to do it every show.
See, I was going to ask, do the children on the bus go cough, cough, cough? Because if so, you need to quit driving the bus.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So there you go. Acid. Anything else, Acid? Anything else going on?
I mean, of course, the holidays are coming up. I love this time of year. Christmas tree lights, all that good stuff, family time. Looking forward to spending time with them. Yeah, hot beverages, all that good stuff. It's just a good time. We've got a lot of stuff coming up with family here in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, and then of course 2 weeks off, which is even better. So. After next week, I'm smooth sailing until I think January the 5th or 6th or something. So,
see, I'm not exactly as excited about that as you are. You have 2 weeks off.
I do.
But then my kids come back home.
Yeah, sorry to hear that.
So I don't have 2 weeks.
Well, see, I still have my kids at home too.
It's true.
But my kids are older than yours, so they can entertain themselves. We'll go do our family stuff. We'll do our our normal things plus the bonus holiday stuff. But when we're not doing that, they have a Nintendo Switch. They have 3DSs. My oldest loves Harry Potter. She's read the Harry Potter series like 8 million times. She'll go read it 8 million for the 8 million and 1th time. So that's just how it goes. And then I'll get to sit here in front of this beautiful screen and play video games for however long that is. So,
have you beat the new Assassin's Creed yet?
I have not beaten the new Assassin's Creed yet. We'll get to that later.
I've had the last 45 weeks off. It's been crazy.
That is awesome. Now when spring break hit last year, or I guess this year, I had I think 26 weeks or 20. Yeah. I can't remember how it was. It was spring break and then COVID holiday. And then we started school again, which, and I'm sorry, I'm going to rant a little bit on this too. So 20-something odd weeks go by, right? People are quarantined. Everybody's off the road. I mean, just not a lot of traveling going on. Well, the first day back at school, you know what they decided to do? Redo a freaking red light that I have to go through every single day in the bus. And they're still working on it, by the way. Like, it is not done yet. I mean, I'm sitting there going, guys, you had like 20 weeks. I mean, take a couple of weeks in quarantine.
Sure.
But you had like 20 weeks to get this thing done with nobody on the road.
Yeah,
Let's
and
wait till school starts.
Yeah, you're working outside.
Gosh.
There's tar, filth in the air. COVID doesn't stand.
Come on. Yeah. Anyway, that's good.
Do y'all fuck with the Mandalorian? Can we get back to Star Wars real quick? I have a.
I'm not caught up.
You're not.
Don't talk about this week's.
God damn it! I had a funny joke about it. All right. Well,
wait. So where are we at? Is everybody not caught up on it?
I haven't watched today's.
okay.
Today's there was one today.
I mean, you can talk about it. I mean, I'll watch it later. I don't care about spoilers when it comes to Star Wars. It's
Okay.
just,
Okay. Well, it's an inconsequential
There you go.
detail. I just wanted to complain that we were deprived the chance to see Boba Fett repainting his armor because he showed up last week and he had his all fucked up Sarlacc Pit Return of the Jedi armor. This week it's all matted out like it looks like the Batmobile or something. It looks dope, and but they didn't show him painting it. And I just wanted have like a little cold open of just him painting
Nice.
it like it's a fucking Warhammer 40,000 figure or something. That's all I want.
and now we need to look really surprised and excited for Jeremy.
Jeremy, you can put it back on, Jeremy. Jeremy, you can put it back on. We're back on. Here we go.
You're in a safe
All right.
space now.
Rivers said his cute little joke.
Yep.
Now we can move on.
Yeah.
We can flood to the Mandalorian. All right,
Jeremy,
no,
promise me when you watch The Mandalorian, you'll go back and listen to my joke and then text me that you thought it was good.
I haven't seen that recent episode either, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm enjoying the Mandalorian. I think more so than last season. Last season was good, but this one I think is even better. I'm enjoying it. I enjoyed the Boba Fett reveal, the dad bod Boba Fett.
Yes. My BBBF, big beautiful Boba Fett.
Jeremy,
That there's the guy
That's
back when
good.
football games were a thing who would stand outside the Saints Stadium as Boba Fett.
Really?
This large guy.
I didn't know that.
Big beard belly, yeah. He was their unofficial mascot, Boba Fett.
Wow.
It's so funny just how huge that helmet looked on Timothy Oliphant, and then when they actually got it on Timura Morrison, it's like, buddy, you're gonna have to get a bigger gauge helmet. It's a little too small for what the bot. And I say this as a large man. I love thick Boba. I'm all about it, but get a slightly bigger helmet.
the thing about that episode is, man, they really sold the whole like superhero shot when he comes out, and it's like they like zoomed in on him. Hey, nerds, Boba Fett's back! Like they really went all into it. Like I was like, we get it, Boba Fett's back. Okay.
Oh, can I tell you one other thing? And this is season 1, so this isn't a fucking spoiler. This is just some shit that I've been wanting to talk about with the Mandalorian, and I'm here in front of you gentlemen. This is a show about nerd shit, and here we go. This is my assertion, and I say this as a person who had a bunch of Star Wars action figures as a child. Whoever's running that show, that Dave Filoni motherfucker with the cowboy hat, he's an action figure nerd. I've never been more positive of anything in my life because they recycle things from the original trilogy that you would only know about if you had the specific knowledge of being into the action figures. And my proof of this is that in season 1, when Bill Burr's character makes his first entrance, the gun that he has on his shoulder, it's like he's a sharpshooter, but he's got this kind of gun that can flip backwards and forwards and point different directions and take care of enemy combatants, outside of him shooting as well. So Bill Burr is a redheaded gentleman. Who is the only other redhead in Star Wars?
Jeremy?
Well, it depends on what you're considering. I mean, Mara Jade is famously redheaded.
Who's that?
But is no longer canon.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right. Well, fuck that. I don't know about that shit, but normal thing. Not video. Fucking Dash Rendar, Shadows of the Empire. He's the only redhead in Star Wars, and until Bill Burr made his debut. And if you had the Dash Rendar action figure, the motherfucker had a shoulder-mounted automated gun on his fucking shoulder. And I swear to God, that Dave Filoni motherfucker was just like, all right, we're bringing in another redhead. What gun do redheads have? They have a shoulder-mounted robot gun. And they gave that exact gun to Bill Burr. So and fucking Boba Fett shot a damn rocket out of his fucking knee, which is also some shit that you would have noticed if you had the Boba Fett action figure and you looked at it long enough. Like, wow, this guy has a rocket on his knee. That's hardcore. And they actually used it. So anyway, I love that shit. The Mandalorian fucking rules.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's right. I'm pretty sure I saw an interview with Filoni and Favreau after that prison escape episode, and they were talking about Shadows of the Empire.
Oh, were they? Okay, cool. I did no additional research. I just noticed that when I was watching.
Is this going to be an unpopular opinion? Does people like Bill Burr's character?
He's in it. He's in it. This one. And yes, I will say after Jeremy, once you watch this episode, yeah, you'll enjoy it. They did a good job. I mean, it was totally. He popped up as soon as I saw him in it. I knew exactly how he got there. Because he's friends with fucking Vince Vaughn, and Vince Vaughn is friends with Jon Favreau, and then ipso facto he's in this. So, and indeed, when they talk to Bill Burr, he's like, yeah, I don't even know any shit about Star Wars. I just thought it'd be fucking funny to show up in it. And that's his full explanation. And indeed it was funny. And then today on this episode, and this is no spoilers, they made him do some fucking acting, and it was dope. I was like, dude, this is good shit. So yeah, man, between Bill, and we could talk about this, there's some other shit between Bill Burr being in The Mandalorian and fucking Bob Odenkirk having his own action movie that they dropped the trailer for today. Gen X comedians are having a moment, gentlemen.
That's okay. There we go.
See that shit? The John Wick, the producers of John Wick are making an action movie called Nobody, starring Bob Odenkirk.
No, I haven't seen that.
It dropped today. The trailer dropped today. It's fucking great. Like, I mean, I grew up watching Mr. Show, and I thought that guy was the funniest dude ever. Obviously, loved Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, and now it's like he's an action movie star. I'm like, all right, go for it. Fuck around and find out. Who cares?
Does it also have a shot of the Marriott where it goes and just shows the?
Probably.
There you go.
I'm sure they built.
So, before we get to you, Rivers, because every time we get to you, well, something goes wrong. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take my turn. So one thing that I've been doing recently is, so I'm preparing for I'm teaching media theory next semester at Georgia State University. And I'm looking forward to that. So one thing I'm doing is I'm preparing my syllabus. But what I decided to do was I'm actually going to, along with the required readings that students have in the class, I'm going to have some required screenings, so films to watch. So I'm deliberately using science fiction films as a way to sort of explore some of these concepts, some of these theories through the films and stuff that they watch. So for example, whenever we talk about Facebook and interconnectivity and all that sort of stuff, I'll probably show the community episode of Meow Meow Beans. Have you seen that episode? So we'll kind of do that one. No one's seen that.
I'm allergic to Dan Harmon. I can't. I fucking hate that.
Really?
Man.
Oh, wow.
Well, because I have friends who worked for him, and he's a fucking asshole. I've
heard bad things about Dan Harmon.
Yeah, fuck Rick and Morty. Fuck Community. I'll never watch a single goddamn thing that man does.
But Rick and Morty is so good. All right, so moving on.
No, keep going. Sorry, I don't mean to be a turd in the punch. No. That's just I haven't seen a single episode of Community.
Yeah, so Community.
Which season was it in?
Meow Beans is one of the later ones. It's one where what's his name leaves? Glover leaves. Yeah.
Donald Glover, Childish Gambino.
There you go. Boom. And so anyway, so moving on. So I've been rewatching old Black Mirror episodes, and I actually have not seen the last 3 recent Black Mirror episodes until recently. So I still haven't seen the Smithereen one, but I've seen the Miley Cyrus one, and I saw the new Captain America. What's his name? Mackie. There you go. Anthony Mackie episode.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That was the season premiere, right?
Which one? The Miley Cyrus one?
No, the Anthony Mackie one.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah, that's the VR one.
Yeah, that's the
with
one
the Street Fighter thing. Yeah.
He has sex with his best friend via video games. Actually, you know what? I kind of liked the episode. I felt like
I thought it was good.
I thought it was a great way of sort of exploring, sexuality and masculinity and that sort of thing, and homophobia and that kind of. It was interesting. I kind of enjoyed it. Rivers, have you seen that episode? Have you seen Black Mirror by chance?
I have not actually seen Black Mirror, but I will say what you're attempting to do is sort of not entirely unlike maybe my favorite class I took in college, which was a history class, but it was called Science Fiction as Intellectual History. And the idea was to read, I think we read 10 sci-fi books but we read them chronologically, starting with Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, which is kind of considered the beginning of the genre, all the way up through, I think the most recent one was Neuromancer by William Gibson, which is still one of my favorite books of all time. And we kind of talked about when the books were published, and we'll definitely go into this when we talk about the movies. We're going to talk about when the books were published and what was happening in the world that the books are a reflection of, because ultimately all science fiction is you sort of take a look at whatever's happening in society now and project it however far in the future and kind of blow it out and see what would happen if we continue on this course and stuff like that. And my favorite moment of the class, it was taught by this guy named Dr. Beckwith, who I loved, but Dr. Beckwith was a cartoon character of a professor. Like if you were just like draw, if you told a caricaturist to draw you a college professor, it'd be this guy. Bald, beard, brown jacket with the patches on the elbows, the whole thing. But he was great. But one of the whitest gentlemen of all time, and this will come into play in just a second. That'll become important because we were discussing Frankenstein, the original Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, and the subtitle of Frankenstein is the modern Prometheus, and he's talking about the idea of Prometheus stealing fire from the gods and fire representing knowledge and all that stuff. And then at that point, the whitest man in the world goes, I believe it was Richard Pryor who said that when the fire hits your ass, you sober up quick. Yeah. So anyway, you got quite a mountain to climb to top Dr. Beckwith in your sci-fi class, but I think you can do it. You're the man for the job.
Look, what can I say? All my students love me. You can look, I'm right, my professor. I'm a very good teacher. But anyway, so
are you hot? You got the pepper?
They got rid of the pepper. They got rid of the pepper.
Fuck that.
There's no more peppers. There's no more
Why
of this.
Academia if not for the pepper?
But yeah, so I've been watching, rewatching some episodes of Black Mirror because I want to assign some Black Mirror episodes to watch as well.
Sure.
So I rewatched the one where where he's they assign people who are like the undesirables, and they make the soldiers. In the soldiers' eyes, they look like monsters. Jeremy, do you remember that episode?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was a pretty good one. So what I'm trying to say is I'm rewatching old Black Mirror episodes, and I'm enjoying the process. And if you want to take my media theory class, all you got to do is sign up at Georgia State University, and then we can learn some things. Anyway, so moving on. You know what? Let's go ahead and move on to our first topic. How will we do that? We'll move on to our first topic. So our topic for today, our first and only topic, our topic for today is top 3 science fiction films of the past 5 years. As I said in previous examples of this show that we had to delete because they did not work out, this was a hard list for me because a lot of my favorite films. So, for example, when I teach film aesthetics at Georgia State University, whenever we get to the science fiction week, I schedule Ex Machina, and that was one that I wanted to talk about. And it's too old, so I can't talk about that. But once again, we came up with our top 3 lists. And what we usually do is we go 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 2, 2, 2, 2, all the way down to 1. Who wants to start? Acid, I'll let you decide. Who wants to start here with our top 3 science fiction films of the past 5 years?
You mean I get to decide who starts, or you're wanting me to start?
Either or.
I'll start, I guess. I looked at, of course, I have all of your movies that I had to put in here for pictures and stuff. And I went, you know what? I have not seen any of these. So
okay.
I'm not a big movie person. Anthony and Jeremy will tell you I play more video games than I do anything else.
Oh, okay, so we're the exact opposite. The last video game I played was during the Clinton administration.
Yeah, so I'm the video game nerd here. So usually when they have a topic about science fiction, I try to transition that into, okay, well, they got, top 3 sci-fi movies. What are the my top 3 sci-fi games of the last 5 years? So I went, all right, let's just do that. So I've got the top 3 sci-fi games.
Let's do it.
I thought you were going to be incredibly bold and go game movies.
Game movie. I could have, yeah. Most of those I've probably seen, but as far as the movies themselves, I kept looking, and I looked at other people's lists,
for another time.
And I went, I just kept looking at like top 20 lists of all these sci-fi movies. I'm like, I've never seen any of these. So I went, well, let's look at games.
My top 3: Resident Evil Underworld,
right?
Those are my
Doom. Oh gosh, yeah.
Oh hell yeah, with The Rock.
Yeah. Okay, so my number 3 actually just came out. I haven't played it yet, but there's so much hype around this game. You've probably heard of
Cyberpunk.
it. Is Cyberpunk 2077.
Or you can make your dingus bigger. That's the only thing I know about it. You can give yourself a giant dingus.
I haven't played any of it. I've watched a few streams with people playing it. It looks extremely immersive. It looks like something I could get into. Very Grand Theft Auto, Witcher-ish type gameplay. It looks super fun. I mean, when you have Keanu Reeves on the front of it, you can't go wrong. So one day, hopefully, when it's on Steam sale, probably in 2077, I'll buy it and then play it then for like $4.99. But until then, that's why I'm putting it at my number 3, just because the hype is so big.
You do know what I'm talking about, right? You've heard this. I'm not. Everybody's just saying. I'm just saying that.
That's how immersive it is. Like you can
when you design your character, there's a little slider where if you want a gigantic hog, you can give yourself one.
And vice versa for the female characters.
Is that right? You give yourself a big vagina?
No, the boob sliders.
Oh, the boob sliders.
Okay.
Giant. Fantastic.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Boob sliders. It's all cool. Whatever.
That's all.
No shame on anybody. But boy, anyway, yes.
But yeah, short and sweet. Cyberpunk.
I
hope it does well.
I've heard a lot of negative stuff about Cyberpunk. There's a lot of issues with it. Jeremy,
there's a lot of crashes and a lot of like normal release type stuff. So hopefully, I would say I'm going to give it a year before I actually play this game, just so they can work out a lot of the kinks. I mean, there's no multiplayer yet, which it really doesn't bother me right now. But there's none of that yet. They're still working on stuff. I'm like, why release something that's not done? Like I don't understand this early access beta stuff now. Like that's all games are now. Like, well, you can buy our early access game for $49.99 and just develop it as it goes. There are only a few games that I will do that with. And actually, the number 1 which we'll get to later. My number 1 is in early access right now. But it shouldn't be.
So it seems like they focused a little too much on size and not enough on like rhythm and timing.
Yeah,
what you're saying, it's not about the technique. It's more about
There is no motion of the ocean. You just drop as big of whatever the biggest flaccid eel you can find in the river. Just boom, and that's what you get. Yeah.
Jeremy, do you have the game? Have you played the game?
I have not, so I'm waiting until I can get a PS5 to play it.
But that's Jeremy's job that we're not allowed to talk about. He actually works on the Cyberpunk team, and that's why he didn't want to talk about it.
It's it's the standard scope problem.
He designed the dong slider.
What's it?
I just looked in the mirror and tried to decide.
Yeah.
For the game. Yeah. So, but it's the same thing as So The Witcher, which is the last CD Projekt Red big game, like with DLC and everything, was about 100 hours if you played it out. And so they designed the base storyline of Cyberpunk is supposed to be like 140, 150 hours. And it's just not a reasonable scope for any one game.
I was watching
Chris Roberts' Star Citizen problem.
I was watching Shroud. I don't know if you guys watch Twitch at all or know any pro gamers, but anyway, I was watching Twitch streamer. His name is Shroud.
Oh, he's the guy with the image of Jesus on it, right?
No, but I get you. So he, of course, all these big gamers get paid to play this game, and he was about 20 or so hours in, and he was still doing tutorials, and I was sitting there going, "Daggone, how long is this game?" Now, I don't know if he just went and just did some stuff on the side and then came back to the main story, but I came back.
He lifted weights and played basketball.
He was still in the middle of tutorials. I was like, good grief, how immersive is this thing? So, I don't know.
I had heard they also stopped marketing it as an RPG. So the assumption of everybody was that it was going to be the greatest RPG of all time, and it's basically an action adventure game, and that's what they swapped it to because of it's just not feasible to code something of that large.
It's like calling Grand Theft Auto an RPG. It's no, absolutely not. Or Red Dead Redemption, which is a great game, by the way.
Well, there you go. So AcidTrain, yours is the Cyberpunk, the one that everyone's talking about in a negative way.
In a negative way.
So that makes your number 3 there. Let's move on to Jeremy. What's your number 3? And Jeremy, you sent me an email message saying that this is going to be a very boring conversation. I'm assuming that we have very similar lists. That's okay. We can love a movie for different reasons.
Maybe they come on different scales of the list. We'll see.
Okay. Number 3 for you, Jeremy.
So first off, if we had added the extra year, our list probably would have been the exact same because Ex Machina would have definitely been in mine. So when we did this, like my 1 and 2 were locked in immediately. I didn't have to think about them at all. The third one was kind of it was up in the air. So initially I was thinking like hard science fiction. I was thinking Annihilation, Arrival, Ad Astra. But all those had like things that annoyed me near the end. And so I thought of one movie that it's not great science fiction. It's not really even science fiction. But I liked it from beginning to end. And I can't really find a big fault in it, and that is Thor Ragnarok.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Hell yeah, dog. Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah. So Ragnarok I think is probably the most enjoyable Marvel movie so far. It's highly rewatchable. The chemistry between Thor and Hulk and everybody in it's great. The cinematography is great. The humor is on point for a Marvel movie.
The Kiwi accents, that's the best.
Yeah,
I can listen to New Zealand people talk all day.
Taika's character is hilarious.
Yeah.
The villain is the right amount of powerful relative to the heroes. All the acting is great. Yeah. So I don't think it's the best Marvel movie, but I think it's one of the most consistent ones.
I think it might be my favorite. Taika Waititi is somebody, because the first movie of his I saw was Hunt for the Wilder People, which I don't know if y'all have seen that movie. It's not a sci-fi movie by any stretch, but it does have Sam Neill from Jurassic Park and the Islander kid from Deadpool 2 who can shoot the fire. I cannot remember his name, but it's the two of them just kind of get lost in the woods and shit. It's a fucking amazing movie, and it's got a very similar all of Taika's stuff, What We Do in the Shadows, Jojo Rabbit. They've all got that kind of I don't know. It's almost like if Wes Anderson wasn't so goddamn dry in his humor. It's almost that aesthetic. You're not that aesthetic, but the writing style is very the same, where it's these very, very pronounced kind of identifiable characters who are all just very, very funny. But I love his style, and I thought I don't know who hired him to make a damn Marvel movie, but hats off. That was a great idea because he nailed it. Because honestly, Thor was the one that I didn't give a shit about of all of them. And that's my favorite one now. But yeah, if you gave me a list of the Avengers, Spider-Man, Hulk, like everybody is more interesting to me than Thor. And even the first Thor movie was okay. I still have never seen that second one, which the Russo brothers made me pay for in Endgame or whichever one it was, where I had to have seen it to understand some shit that was happening. Still won't see Dark World. Fuck you. You can't make me. But Ragnarok is incredible. And for some reason it seems to be at least pre-quarantine playing on every plane in the sky, and it's a perfect movie to just pop on if you're on a damn plane, because you're like, hey man, you got Goldblum, it's funny, you got Taika Waititi, I'm in.
Yeah, so you know what? I'll go ahead and go to my number 3. That's Thor Ragnarok.
Oh, no.
So and we'll continue the conversation on Thor Ragnarok. So the reason why I like this movie so much is because it does what every good Marvel film does. It's connected to a larger MCU narrative, right? But you don't really need to know it. I mean, obviously, it adds extra to it. It augments the enjoyment of watching a Marvel film, like every Marvel film. But you really don't need to. You could not know who Thor is, and enjoy the film, because in many ways it's very Flash Gordon-y in terms of you have this random hero. There's a lot of corniness, a lot of jokes. I'll go one step further. Taiki Waititi is he is Wes Anderson if Wes Anderson films were funny.
That's
I was gonna
unnecessarily harsh.
There's nothing not funny about Gene Hackman going, "Darling, I'm dying," and she starts crying. He goes, "Okay, I'm not dying." That's hilarious.
Okay. Fair enough. All right, so moving on. That was a hard take. So yeah, I definitely enjoyed this film. I think the soundtrack is fantastic. It has its own aesthetic, which you can say for a lot of comic book films, they tend to not to have that. So it's good to watch. It's visually good to look at. The soundtrack's amazing. It's funny. It has great characters. The villain is fine, but the film doesn't really need like a daunting real villain, right? So, but I really enjoyed the film. It's probably one of my favorite Marvel films. Probably definitely in the top 5 of all my favorite Marvel films. Somewhere, Guardians of the Galaxy is also one of my favorites. So if we did,
Winter Soldier is the best movie out of all of them, I think.
I definitely like the Winter Soldier. That would definitely be in the top, unless you wanted to count like Endgame or Infinity War. I know it's kind of hard to say that these are definitive like one film, because it's not really a film. It's like it's like a season finale in a film, so it doesn't really count. But I definitely enjoyed Thor Ragnarok. I actually rewatched Dark World, and it's not good, but it's not bad. It's kind of boring in a lot of ways. It doesn't have any. I think what makes Ragnarok so great is it's so distinctly different from all the other Marvel films,
right?
Which you really can't say about many Marvel films, and you can't say about comic book films. They all tend to kind of have the same formula, and Ragnarok does not have that formula. I mean, he loses his hammer at the beginning of the film.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're like, the villains they're threatening, but not that threatening. I'm like, they did break his hammer and explode his home planet. It was pretty bad.
That's true. That's true. All right, so there's my number 3. Rivers, we'll go ahead and go to you.
My number 3 is a movie that I saw in the theaters just kind of on a whim, and because I had seen what I guess is supposed to be the quote unquote first one, and thought it was just fine, and that is 10 Cloverfield Lane from 2016, starring John Goodman.
I thought that was John Goodman. I was like, is that John Goodman? That is John.
Dude, it's John Goodman, and I think it's like the first time a lot of people were like, oh shit, John Goodman's an actor,
John Goodman's fantastic.
Because they forget, man. Like, the Coen brothers throw him a bone and put him in a movie about once every like 6 years, and people are like, "Oh yeah, John Goodman's good." This is like a fucking tour de force. This is probably his second best movie behind Barton Fink. Like, it is just unfucking believable, the performance, and it's. This is the thing. When you asked me to do this, Anthony, like, you're like, all right, the best sci-fi movies. Fully 2 of the movies on my list don't really turn into sci-fi movies until about halfway through. Mm-hmm. And this would be one of them where, the plot of the movie basically, this girl kind of gets run off the road by these crazy hillbillies played by John Goodman, and I forgot the other guy's name. And she wakes up chained to a bunker, and they're like, the air is bad. There's been this fucking attack. You can't go outside. And the whole movie, up until a certain point, is this psychological thriller of like, it's this kind of crazy sort of religious nut, or at the very least, a guy who's been creating a doomsday bunker for a long ass time. Like, she's in this like extremely elaborate bunker, and he's just like, oh, you can't go outside. And you're trying to figure out like, oh, is this guy fucked in the head, or is there actually an alien invasion outside? And then if you haven't seen the movie, turn this off, but fucking spoilers, there is. Like, they have you believing that you're like, oh, she just has to get away from this crazy guy. And I went into this thing blind. I mean, I knew Cloverfield was in the name, so I think they were trying to like evoke the first one or whatever. So I was like, I kind of figured it's probably going to be science fiction-y towards the end. But man, they had me forget that like that was where this was going. And she goes outside and goddamn, alien invasion, it's real. And the guy was right the whole time. It just turns out that, this man was just creepy and right. which is pretty scary in and of itself.
Yeah, I actually, the funny thing, you mentioned this when I saw your list there. I totally forgot about this film. This is a great film. This is a great. Could you say it's not science fiction? Sure, but I think it fits in science fiction.
There's spaceships and
there's spaceships at the end, right? Yeah, so you have to.
Spaceships and aliens chasing people through cornfields and shit. It's classic science fiction, man. But it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't reveal itself fully, and it's great. I mean, it's kind of one of those movies that you watch, especially if you're someone like me and like that I'm kind of interested in, making films and stuff. And it is one of those things where you can watch it and you're like, man, it's so cool that they were able to do this with one set. It's just the bunker. You're just in it the whole time. And they were able to wind so much tension up in it. And it's the only other movie that's even comparable to it, which is not science fiction. It's just straight horror, but is also just one of the best movies the last 5 years, is Green Room, is what it reminds me of. Have y'all seen Green Room?
I haven't seen it. I know what you're talking about.
The show's over. Go watch it now. It's Sir Patrick Stewart playing like a crazy, racist cult leader who basically a punk band shows up to play a matinee show at what they think is just kind of like a hillbilly bar. And then they quickly realize that everyone there is Nazis and they're trapped in the green room. It's so fucking good. It's an incredible horror movie, but very similar concept where it's one location through the whole time and they just crank up that tension the whole time. And that is something that 10 Cloverfield Lane is able to accomplish in spades. It's an incredible movie to watch. I actually just rewatched all three of these actually that I wanted to talk about, but this one is especially great, especially if you've never seen it. And let's see. I think that was my only. That was my only note, is that turns out Howard was creepy, but also right about everything. And that is truly horrifying.
I'll say I wrote down the Green Room, so I'm going to watch that later.
Oh, yeah. It's on Netflix. It's great. Anton Yelchin, who played Chekhov on Star Trek. It's his final movie, and it is
nice.
Dude, you could not have gone. I mean, it's he died in a horrible, untimely way.
Right.
But if you're going to go out on a note, holy shit, what a note to go out on.
Okay.
My God.
I'll go check that out.
Yeah.
Did J.J. Abrams have anything to do with this Cloverfield movie?
So he produced this movie. Originally, the movie was called The Cellar.
You look so disappointed.
I can't forgive him for what he did to Star Trek and Star Wars.
Well, so here's the thing, though. The only thing that he had to do with it, so the movie was originally called The Cellar, and it wasn't supposed to have anything to do with Cloverfield. And all J.J. Abrams did was agree to basically slap his name on it so they could get distribution. And then it was the studios that actually suggested that they try to make it a larger tie-in to the Cloverfield thing, which is funny because the aliens are not the same. The fucking, nothing in the movie matches up to anything that happened in Cloverfield Lane or that giant turd they dropped during the Super Bowl a couple years ago. The Cloverfield paradox. It had nothing to do with either of those. It's just this incredibly well-constructed, really, really well-made movie that they then at literally the 11th hour just slapped the name Cloverfield on. And we're like, all right, let's make it this to get a few more people to come see it. So as far as I know, J.J. Abrams had almost nothing to do with the writing or anything like that. He just produced the thing.
No, this is I second that emotion. This is a great film. It's a must see. It's a must see film. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to number 2. Acid. Give us your number 2.
Okay, so back to video games. And I mentioned this earlier, but the latest in the series for my number 2 sci-fi video game would be Doom Eternal. Doom Eternal has done a phenomenal job bringing Doom back to its original roots, its arcade roots. Like it's that first person The guns are crazy. Screw the storyline. Who needs a storyline? In Doom, come on, let's just go shoot some aliens. Let's go get some power ups. Let's go go find the puzzles to unlock the rooms. Let's go back to Doom the way Doom was supposed to be. And they have done a phenomenal job. Graphics are great. The soundtrack is fantastic. And the guns, oh my gosh. Like it even like the game itself sounds amazing. Just the way just pulling a trigger. You don't want to leave the environment. And it's extremely challenging. So definitely a game to try out if you haven't already.
Now, this new Doom version, can you also go up to the stripper and hit the space bar and they'll flash you?
You're talking about Duke Nukem.
That's Duke Nukem.
Is that Duke Nukem?
Yeah,
Is that Duke Nukem?
That's Duke Nukem.
I remember when I was a kid, I must have been like 10 or something like that. I'm like, ooh. I'm like, oh. Hitting the space bar.
Anthony does that every night before he goes to bed.
The 8-bit pixels. Good times.
So good. But yeah, it's a good game. You should definitely
all right,
check
there
it
you go. Duke Nukem Doom. Who cares?
Doom. It's Doom. Doom Eternal. Go.
But yeah. Jeremy, what's your number 2?
So my number 2 is Rogue One, Star Wars story.
That was my honorable mention. Is that one and motherfucking Last Jedi? Those are my honorable mentions.
We'll agree to disagree on the other one.
Oh, I bet I can get you into it, my man. Once you hear my theory about how it's really a movie about the Protestant Reformation, I'm going to have you on your ass.
I'm Catholic. I'm just joking. So I think Rogue One is probably the second best Star Wars movie, period, behind Empire. So everything about the movie is great. Like it has the right amount of mythology. It has the right amount of comedy. It has the right amount of action. It doesn't have necessarily a happy, feel-good ending, right? It's a sort of realistic war movie.
Why?
It's yeah. I mean, and one of the better characters. Certainly one of the best droid characters in the entire series. It's everything about Rogue One, I think, is almost perfect.
What is the name of that droid? I can't remember. Aoso or something like that, or
yeah.
Whatever. The point is, the droid is yes. The droid is voiced by Alan Tudyk.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to toot my own goddamn horn, I had a little teeny tiny viral tweet over the summer, and guess who fucking retweeted me? Goddamn Alan Tudyk. It was like the best day of my life. I loved it because he's also in Tucker and Dale versus Evil, which is also one of the best fucking movies of the last 10 years.
Nice, excellent. So this droid, is this the one where which droid is this one again? I get all the new droids. Is this the one where?
It's not the one that Lando is fucking.
That's the one. That's it's not that one.
It's not Lando's fuckbot. It's he's like a big droid. I don't know. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I remember this one. Yeah, it's good. That's great. All right, so there you go. The Last Jedi is Jeremy's number 2. Rogue
I will drop off this call right now.
Rogue One. We'll get to mine at number 2. And Jeremy, I don't know, is this in your list at all?
No.
Mine is Ad Astra.
Like I said, I considered it, but I have serious problems with the ending.
I want to hear what your problems are, because do I think this is a perfect film? No. What draws me to this film, and I've seen it twice. The first time I saw it, I was like intrigued by it. The second time I saw it, I wanted to enjoy the visuals a little more. I feel like this. If you saw this in the theaters, and Jeremy, I don't know if you saw this in the theaters. I feel like it would be like a more enjoyable experience because how beautiful the visuals are in this film. To the point where like I like how every planet has its own aesthetics. So you like the moon is like the light gray, and then you got the Mars is obviously red, and then Neptune is that really cold blue, almost like it feels cold. When you watch the film, you feel cold when you watch it. It's a beautiful shot. Like you when you're watching it, it's almost like this feeling of you you feel like you're all across the solar system in Neptune. It's just the way they film it. It's an amazingly beautiful film. If you want to talk about the narrative, like is this just a spectacle film, or is there something deeper that you can kind of, because with every science fiction film, the good science fiction films are the ones that make you think about life, about what it means to be human, about how technology is changing us, this sort of thing, our relationship with our family and our friends. Like, obviously, these are the questions that you want to be thinking about when you watch a good science fiction film. And does this film have that? The only thing I can think of is,
sure.
I mean, it's a metaphor. Him traveling all the way to Neptune is a metaphor for the separation between a father and son. I think that's, to me, that I can see that allegory there, in terms of he has to travel across the freaking solar system, and you feel that as the spectator. You feel that this is a journey. It's this long, prolonged journey from the moon to Mars, eventually to Neptune. You feel like you're on this journey to seek to get to his father, and then you are disappointed when you, just like he is with his father. Like, there's this disappointment in terms of, obviously he kind of grows as a person at the end, like he goes through this arc. But the things that I really enjoy about this film is just how beautiful the film is, and I really wish I could have saw it in theaters, especially the final sequences where he's at Neptune, because you feel cold watching this film. But yeah, Jeremy, I'm actually interested in hearing what your problems with the end of the film.
Well, I mean, first, I think it's a very strong sci-fi movie, even given my reservations. But I mean, not only to mention the issue between the father and the son, right? There's the issue that Tommy Lee Jones goes through, right? He's disappointed, basically, with his family, right? Like, it's not enough for him, right? So there's the horror of, what if we're actually alone in the universe, right? And nothing really matters, and we'll all just die on a rock and be on our way. The issue I had with the end was, it felt like to me it's the same thing as the way they did the end of The Martian, right? I mean, The Martian is different because it was the book, but the whole bit about him miraculously, just in the nick of time, getting out of there and doing something that's, the odds are so astronomical, you can't really even calculate them.
You're talking about the propeller thing where he goes around the ground and shoots them back all the way up there?
Yeah, like, it's just, it felt like someone added that in there. Like, we've got to have some action. We've got to have some, something to keep the audience on their seat. And I think it would have been a stronger movie, and certainly a stronger science fiction movie, if it hadn't have been that, if he had just quietly gone away and left all that there. So that little bit at the end, the little chasing action thing, is really the only hiccup in the movie to me, but it's enough to kind of sour the taste.
Well, there you go. Brad Pitt's Ad Astra.
And I think it's probably one of Tommy Lee Jones' better performances.
Yeah, he has a very small part in it too.
But it was very, very good.
I love the opening sequence where he falls off what do you call that thing? The space tower? What do you call that? Where he falls off that. That's a great scene.
Space elevator.
Space elevator. Yeah, that's great. Awesome. All right, so that was number 2 for me. Is it back on Rivers? Sorry, Rivers. Are we to your number 2 now?
Yeah, I believe so. I didn't see Brad Pitt in space, so I took that time to go real quick. But I will say I do have a thing I found out about Tommy Lee Jones, which is he hates Jim Carrey because of Batman Forever. And Jim Carrey told this story where apparently they were eating at a restaurant, like at the same restaurant, like separately. And the waiter was like, "Oh, Tommy Lee Jones is here." And he's like, "Oh, I'll go over and say hey to him." And he said that Tommy Lee Jones went to give him a hug, and he was like shaking. He was like, "I hate you." And then and so Jim Carrey pulls up a chair and is trying to he's like, "Yeah, what's going on, man?" And he says, "I cannot sanction your buffoonery." So literally every time I see Tommy Lee Jones in fucking anything, all I can think is, I cannot sanction your buffoonery. Also, Tommy Lee Jones also, here's some trivia. Do you know who his roommate was at Harvard?
Yes, I've heard this before.
It's an inconvenient answer.
Al Gore?
Bingo! It's fucking Al Gore.
Yeah.
Yeah, Al Gore was Tommy Lee Jones's roommate at Harvard.
Huh. All right.
Anyway,
there you go.
My number 2 film, and this is a movie that, again, similar to 10 Cloverfield Lane, except it takes a lot longer for you to realize that it's a science fiction movie. I actually have a timestamp, 1 hour and 16 minutes into the movie before you realize that the shit just popped off, and it's now a sci-fi movie, and that is Boots Riley's fucking masterpiece, Sorry to Bother You, from 2018. Have you guys seen Sorry to Bother You?
I have not seen the film. I feel like I need to see it.
Oh, okay. It's on Hulu. Again, stop what you're doing. Go watch it. For everybody listening, here's what I'm going to do. When I get into spoiler territory, I'm going to take off my hat. You need to fast forward until I put my fucking hat back on, because I'm going to spoil it for you guys because you asked me to do this.
Wait, hold on. So are you spoiling it for us?
Yeah, because yeah. But for the audience, I want them, because, here's the thing. Okay, so Sorry to Bother You. When you're watching it, you think it is a political satire comedy in the sort of vein of something like Office Space or something like that, where it's essentially an anti-capitalist film that sort of depicts modern day Oakland, which is where, that's the San Francisco Bay Area where the tech industry is. And it follows Lakeith Stanfield from BlacKkKlansman, fucking amazing actor. It follows him in his quest to get a job and pay his rent. And he gets a job at a telemarketing place. And and that's where the title comes from, is Sorry to Bother You, because he has to call people and he's trying to sell, I believe at the actual telemarketing place, he's selling them encyclopedias. So it's just something that's just fucking worthless. But the little carrot they keep dangling in front of him is that if he is good enough at sales, he gets to get in the golden elevator and go upstairs to the power sales department, which, once he eventually does get promoted, he finds out that with that one, he is essentially working as a subcontractor for an Amazon-like company called, let's see, what the hell is the name of it? Oh, fuck, I have it written down. Worry Free is what it's called. And they got Armie Hammer to play the CEO. So he's kind of this like Elon Musk, sort of douchebag character. And so, but when he does get promoted, he finds out that they are actually selling weapons and slaves. And so he is obviously kind of conflicted about that. The whole movie is just fucking genius. And as an extra little, interestingly, a person who has been in Thor Ragnarok and also in this film and in my number 1 movie, Tessa Thompson is in this movie as the love interest, Detroit. And her character, the entire time, she is always she plays an artist, and so she's wearing these like giant earrings that have different phrases on them. So I wrote those down. The first one says, kill, 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 murder, 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 which is from Shoot 'Em Up by Nas. The second one is bury the rag deep in your face, which is from The Lonesome Death of Hattie Carroll by Bob Dylan. It's all these like kind of revolutionary artists. There's like Prince lyrics on one. It's an unbelievable film. And then an hour and whatever I said, 15 minutes in, he kind of goes to the CEO's house. He's having this party. And yeah, here we go. I got to take my hat off. All right. Spoilers. He goes to the CEO's house, and it turns out that they are turning people into horses because the horses are more obedient and they can work harder. So it's ultimately like I said, it's this big kind of anti-capitalist critique of Amazon. Yeah, they're literally turning people into, and they call them equisapiens. And the movie ends in a big riot. Basically, Stephen Yeun, who plays Glenn on The Walking Dead, is a union salt. So he starts working at the telemarketing place in order to unionize the workplace. So they have like a big protest outside. And it's one of those things. This movie came out in 2018, and baby, it looks like 2020 up in that shit, like especially towards the end. And the big thing is at the end, they get the goddamn horse people to beat the shit out of the cops and the scabs. And it's this like crazy, and it's fucking wild. It is one of the best movies of 2018. Should have been nominated for some shit. Boots Riley, he's one half of the rap group The Coup, and The Coup has been like one of my favorite groups like since I was a kid. And this is his first first written and directed movie, and it's unreal. And like I said, it is it's not hard sci-fi by any chance, but there are mutant fucking horse people in it, so it counts.
Well, I'm definitely gonna check it out.
It's on.
I remember seeing the trailer for that movie, and I had no idea it was sci-fi at all.
Well, most people didn't. I've fucked y'all a little bit here by telling you, but it's still gonna be good. It's funny too. While you're watching it, you're like, oh, this is just like a really funny movie, and then all of a sudden it takes this really fucked up turn, and you're like, oh my god, what? I love it.
It's Denzel Washington's son, right?
No, Lakeith Stanfield. I don't think is. Are you thinking of Tenet?
No, but it's him. But I thought that was the movie that I was thinking of, where the guy goes and joins the calling group. I was thinking it was that guy, but maybe it's a different movie.
Yeah, no, it's Lakeith Stanfield. And there's Danny Glover makes a really great appearance in the film. It's one of the things from the trailer. The trailer makes it seem like this is the big thing, which is while he's at the call center, Danny Glover kind of turns to him and goes, "Hey, young blood, you got to use your white voice. You could sell more if you use your white voice." And then Lakeith Stanfield begins speaking in the voice of David Cross.
Who does Lakeith Stanfield play in Black Klansman?
Let's see. Who the hell is he in the movie?
Because all this sounds familiar, but I would have sworn it was the other guy. I just made this up in my head.
Let's see.
Because when you said Black Klansman, that's...
Oh, wait, shit. I got that mixed up. No, you're right. You guys are right. Yeah, he's not in Black Klansman. My bad. Yeah, I fucked that up. He's in Get Out. That's the other
okay.
Yeah.
But which also I would put my honorable mentions for a sci-fi film technically. It's about brain. It's about brain swapping, shit like that. But But anyway, the point is, really great movie. But when he's on the phone at the call center calling people using his quote unquote white voice, they actually got David Cross to do the voice. So he just opens his mouth and then his supervisor has his white voice is Patton Oswalt. So that's kind of fun.
Nice.
But yeah,
Excellent.
Great movie. It's on Hulu streaming. Watch it now.
Right. I'm definitely going to check that one out. All right, so let's get to our number one. Acid, what's your number one?
All right, number one video game sci-fi of the last 5 years. Actually, this is the one I mentioned, is in early access at the moment. If you like any type of building type games, this is a very good one. It's called Satisfactory. It's based on a random planet. You have 3 or 4 different planets you can choose from that have different terrains. And there really is no end game to this. It's just basically build up your factory. You get resources to upgrade to other resources, to build other things, to make other resources. It's crazy good. I mean, you can build anything from storage bins to a train that will go and get the resources for you. One of my favorite things to build in it is just like you remember Futurama, the tubes that they traveled in Futurama. You can build those, which is really cool. So you can go from one side of the planet to the other one if you build it long enough.
You can build like a city almost.
Yeah, you can build a factory city and just like go around and
simulated like a simulated city.
Yep, that's basically what it is. Only all factory
like there was a
equipment.
game where you could do that. What was it called?
SimCity.
Right.
Only this one, there's a lot of interesting wildlife that roams.
Is there can you craft things out of do you have to you craft things, but then you have to mine the things first?
So when you first start, you get shot down from space in this pod. You disassemble the pod and you make your little opening starting zone, which is where you start crafting stuff. So you have a pick.
At any
and
point,
you go.
you go to war with these crafts.
No, although you feel like you need to because some of them will piss you off. But you literally you have a mining pick, and you go find a node and you chip away until you have enough to go build the next item to make that a little bit faster to do, and then you go build the next item that takes a little bit longer, and then it's basically upgrading. I've got hundreds of hours in this game. It's just they did a fantastic job with the title Satisfactory, because not only is it a factory, but it is very satisfactory as well.
Okay.
So, yeah, very good.
All right, excellent. That's Acid Train's number one. Jeremy, we're going to go to your number one. What do you got for us?
Obviously, my number one is Blade Runner 2049.
Why is this obvious?
Because it's got Batista, the animal.
I mean, okay.
Well,
I mean, it's obvious in that anyone who is correct about a list, it would put it at the top. So Blade Runner is not only it's my favorite movie of all time. I think it's probably arguably the greatest movie ever made.
That's a huge statement, sir.
It is
huge.
Do you know comedian Carter Glasscock from Birmingham? Because
no.
If not, y'all, I know Ant does. Y'all need to have Carter on here because that's his favorite movie as well, and y'all can just bro down, and then these other two can just sit there and watch you.
And so I was both incredibly excited and very nervous when I found out that there was going to be a sequel made. And thankfully, I think it was faithful. It maintained the story without adulterating it or without relying on the original movie too heavily and sort of being unnecessary. The acting's great. It's beautiful. The sound is excellent. I mean, the amount of tension they build with just the sound is probably better than they did in Interstellar or Gravity. The scene near the end where they're fighting in the water is excellent in that regard. Everything about the movie. I mean, I like Jared Leto's character. Ryan Gosling was a very faithful sort of next generation replacement for Decker.
A replicant. It's called a replicant of Decker.
But yeah, I think it's easily the best science fiction movie in the last 10 years.
All right, excellent. All right, so we'll go ahead and get to my number one. And Jeremy, it's no surprise. It's Blade Runner 2049. All right, so my love of this film is not surprising to Jeremy and people who know me. I've written two seminar papers on this film. In fact, in my film analysis class that I teach, it's one of the films that I require my students to watch. And not for science fiction, but for sound. When we're talking about sound, I have that as an example of how sound enhances the film. And I think you're right. I think the soundtrack for Blade Runner 2049 is phenomenal. I've written a whole paper on the soundtrack in terms of how it incorporates, noise. I based it on a review of the soundtrack of Blade Runner 2049. One of the reviewers, he was trying to give a negative review of the film, and he called it a noise track instead of a soundtrack. And I kind of ran with that idea, and I was like, you know what? It is kind of a noise track. It incorporates these organic sounds, these mechanical. You got the siren, you got the various machinery, industrial sounds that are used in the soundtrack to kind of create this dystopian.
They used sound as a weapon the same way that the original one used imagery.
Exactly. So
Boba Fett's Slave 1 uses sound as a weapon.
There you go. Excellent. But yeah, so I love Blade Runner 2049. Whenever it comes to what makes a good science fiction film, is it makes you think about what it means to be human, right? And to think about our relationship with technology. And so the relationship between Ryan Gosling's character and Joy, the artificial intelligence, is interesting because then you can have all these questions about these debates about, was it truly love? Did they actually have a real relationship? And I think you can make an argument in both cases, because you could say, what is love? Baby don't hurt me, baby don't hurt me. But what is love besides just the feelings that you have towards somebody? And even if it is an artificial intelligence, it could still be a love, even though it's sort of artificial. And then, of course, you can make the argument the other way, saying the very end of the film is evidence that it wasn't truly love, because the new Joy character, the large advertisement, uses the same name that the other Joy gave. So there's this idea that it's all just simulated. It wasn't truly.
Yeah, but I mean, love doesn't have to be requited, right? Like, he loved her, regardless of whether she. Yeah, loved him.
And I think it's sort of a sad ending, because I think in that moment he sort of kind of realizes that maybe it wasn't real. Like he did truly love her, but in that moment you can kind of see in his face that he's realizing, well, maybe it wasn't truly. She could never actually reciprocate, because it's just a computer program that's tailored towards me. But
it's the inverse of the first story.
Yeah, exactly. And there's so many things that I could talk about in terms of Blade Runner. I love the allegory between, if you want to make the argument about how our relationship with our smartphones, how we're becoming more and more intimate with our technology, that we carry our technology with us everywhere, and we have this tactile, fetishized, like we want to touch our cell phone, and we want to become intimate with our cell phone, and you can make an allegory that we want to have sex with our cell phone, see where I'm kind of going with this? You can kind of make that argument as well. How we're becoming more and more intimate with our technology, and how we're becoming actually more of a hybrid between human and technology. But anyways, that's why I love Blade Runner 2049. That is my vote. I love the film. I've written 2 seminar papers about it, and we'll go ahead and move on to Rivers. Rivers, what's your number 1 film?
I swear, one of these days with these cell phones, you're just gonna have a little slider if you want to get a bigger dingle. Just get a
exactly.
I do want before we move on real quick. Who here has like consoles or gaming PCs or anything like that? Has the opportunity to play video games? Yeah,
I do.
Okay, if you get a chance, but if you haven't already, you need to play Detroit Become Human.
Yeah, it's very good.
That is a phenomenal game. That's a phenomenal game to just even watch somebody else play.
It's not really. I mean, it's more of it's an interactive story.
It is. It is an interactive
it's
story.
Not really a game.
I mean, it's all about choice. I mean, of course, you can replay it and do the different, choices or whatever. But I've never played this game, and just to go straight through it, you guys need to check it out.
Wasn't there a game, a bunch of games similar to that? Wasn't it was it called Indigo Prophecy or something like that? And then
Heavy Rain was one.
Heavy Rain. They're all the same.
Yeah,
same company.
yeah. Okay. They were all made by Quantic Dream. Yeah. Sorry,
all right,
Rivers.
Go ahead. Give us your number 1.
I have your picture here, sir.
So, my number 1, and this is, again, similar to 10 Cloverfield Lane, but even more so because it didn't even have any, name recognition like Cloverfield attached to it. I went into this shit blind, and that was so the way to do it, because it ended up being, second favorite movie of the year behind Sorry to Bother You in 2018, and that is Annihilation. Which I hadn't seen Ex Machina yet at the time. That Ex Machina was like a fucking homework assignment that I just hadn't done. Everybody told me. And then when I saw it, obviously I was like, oh, this is incredible. But that was that filmmaker, who made the movie. It was his second film, Annihilation. Oh, God damn it, it's going to kill me. Anyway, the point is, I saw it. It's if you are at all a fan of H.P. Lovecraft, the story is immediately familiar, and they have now since made a movie, I guess more of a direct adaptation to the Lovecraft source material that I have not seen yet, but I've heard is great, which is Color Out of Space, starring Nicolas Cage. The story of The Color Out of Space, which was written by Lovecraft, is what eventually got turned into the book and then the movie Annihilation. The idea being that this alien force kind of crash lands in what looks to be on the map that I rewatched it today. It appears to be Panama City, Florida, which is hilarious to think that, you'd be partying at Club La Vila and then a fucking alien meteorite hits and turns your whole shit into, a deer with a tree for an antler and stuff like that. All you were trying to do was hang out at Club La Vila and, drink some sex on the beaches and slippery nipples. And then all of a sudden you got alien shit showing up. But yeah, it starts taking over Florida. It's called the Shimmer or Area X. And anytime you go inside of it, basically people's DNA and their cells start to refract on each other, which is sort of what gives the Shimmer this iridescent kind of what they call the Shimmer. It's what that gives it that color. And inside of it, it changes people. And basically they keep sending men into this kind of ever growing, ever expanding sort of, essentially a cancer cell that they estimate eventually will take over the earth. And they keep sending men inside to kind of fix it. And no one comes back except for one guy. And that's Kane, played by Oscar Isaac from the movie that we can't talk about because of Jeremy. And he comes back and he's Natalie Portman's boyfriend, and he's just riddled with diseases because he is now, all of his cells have mutated and it's all fucked up. And Natalie Portman and a team, which features Tessa Thompson, who's now been in 3 of our movies. She is our MVP. Yep. Valkyrie from the goddamn Thor Ragnarok. She's in this movie and she's in Sorry to Bother You. They all go in with her, and she's part of the team. And basically they encounter an alligator with shark's teeth, and there's like a bear, half skull pig thing. It's awesome. They're tree people. Basically genetics are just going haywire inside of this thing, and all of it is leading up to she's trying to make it to the lighthouse where the meteorite eventually first crashed to theoretically stop the Shimmer, stop the whole thing, which she gets to. And it's great. And then you think it's got the very 2001 A Space Odyssey like ending where you're kind of going, what the fuck did I just watch? And then you just can't stop thinking about it for like a week. And then you go see it again and again and again. And after a while, you kind of figure it out where you're like, okay, this is much in the way that, the symbolism of the Star Child coming back to Earth at the end of 2001 is supposed to, symbolize like, oh, this is an enlightened, a next level evolution of human, an enlightened human that's returning to Earth to kind of, wake people up or whatever, serving the role that the monolith that we mentioned earlier kind of serves. In Annihilation, it takes, and that's an optimistic view. That's as optimistic as you're ever going to find Kubrick being, is at the end of 2001: A Space Odyssey, because Kubrick, his reality is dark and fucking it's the abyss, But that's his one little bit of hope, is like, okay, maybe we learned something. We went all the way to goddamn Jupiter, and maybe we learned something, and now we're coming back with a chance to, up our game. Annihilation has the exact opposite view. At the end of that film, you are not sure if Natalie Portman is a double, because the Shimmer is also replicating people. It turns out Oscar Isaac died by his own hand, and his duplicate is the one that went out and is, back, with Natalie Portman and shit like that. And Natalie Portman, I don't think she's a duplicate, but she's been in the Shimmer so long that she's infected by it. All of her cells are glowing and shit. So even though they, spoiler, destroy the Shimmer at the end of the damn movie, they're kissing, and then they got the glowy shit in their eyes. So now it's very similar to that Kubrick ending of 2001, except now the Star Child is not the next level of evolution. It's this thing that is going to destroy humanity. If these two people fuck and make a Shimmer baby, it's over. There's no need for the Shimmer. So I loved it, man. I fucking watched that movie like I went in blind. Like I said, I have a lot of free time, obviously, and went into it completely blind. And then by the end of the week, I think I had gone back and watched it 2 more times. Just kind of became obsessed with it, and I love it. I watched it earlier today. I like it every time I watch it. I always catch new shit, and it's kind of a movie about, low key, it's about self-destruction, but it's also like any other science fiction movie where you can really, you can kind of read whatever you'd like to into it about the culture of 2018. And the reason they buried the movie, get this shit, they dropped that movie like a turd in January, right? And it was because of fucking Harvey Weinstein. That was the last thing he did. Was some producer on that movie pissed him off And he was like, fuck them, put them in the January graveyard, which if you don't know about movies, shit that gets released in like January and February is either like Oscar bait or just trash, especially after the Oscars in February. And Harvey Weinstein dumped Annihilation there because somebody on the team fucked him, pissed him off. And that was the last like thing he did was he fucked that movie on this way out the door. So it's great. So if for no other reason, fucking go see it because Harvey Weinstein is an asshole. So that's your motivation to go see Annihilation. Just fuck Harvey Weinstein, but it's also great.
Yeah, I agree. I love this film too. It's on my honorable mention along with Arrival. I think Arrival would have been on this list as well. But I didn't want two films by Denis Villeneuve. I don't even know if that's it.
Denis Villeneuve.
Yeah.
If we had made it next year, Dune would probably be on my list as well.
There you go. Oh yeah, Dune. Yeah, Dune's coming up soon.
Sting, fucking Sting. Man, you can't go wrong.
But if you haven't seen the movie Alex Garland wrote before he made Ex Machina, it's called Sunshine. It's also a very good science fiction movie.
That's one of the science fiction films that I keep hearing is great that I've never seen.
It's very, very good. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I'll check that out. I love those movies, especially. My God, yeah. When I finally did, I mean, I know you got your 5-year gimmick or 5-year gimmick here, Anthony. But let's talk. I mean, fucking Ex Machina is insane. That's the movie of the decade, the sci-fi movie of the decade, I think.
After Blade Runner.
Ex Machina is the film when we get to the science fiction section in my class when I teach film aesthetics. That's the film we watch is Ex Machina, and I can go all day talking about Ex Machina, but we don't have enough time. We're kind of running out of time. What is about Annihilation? It has one of my favorite scenes in any film of all time. One of my favorite scenes because it's utterly terrifying. And you know what scene that is?
That's the bear with the human vocals.
It's the bear that screams.
Yes.
My goodness, that scene is terrifying.
Oh my God, yeah. I can hear it like in my head. If I just think really hard, I can pull it back up. Like the bear rips that girl's throat out, and then the next scene he's screaming like her.
Oh man, it is great. It is a you need to watch that film just for that. All right, so let's go ahead and move on. We did our top 3. Fantastic. Ex Machina is a great film. We could talk about how is it sort of a feminist liberation film. Anyway, moving on. That's my argument. All right, so moving on to our trivia game. We'll go ahead and we'll get to some trivia. Acid, why don't you go ahead and get started?
We got some trivia questions here, and of course, as always, $10 million is on the line for the winner. Yeah, you'll never have to work again as soon as you win this. So, Rivers. We have 4 categories. We're going to let you choose the first category. So our categories are sci-fi and fantasy, comics and video games, science and technology, or just straight up geek life. Would you like to go with first?
What was the first option? Whatever that was.
Sci-fi and fantasy. Yeah. All right. This one, I'm going to give y'all an easy one just to warm you up. Okay. So if you don't all get this one, we're just going to boot you straight off the show. Okay.
How do we buzz in, or do we just yell it?
No. What you're going to do is I'll tell you the question, or I'll ask you the question. I'll give you a second to think about it, and then I'll go to each of you to give me your answer. And then once everybody gives me their answer, I'll give you the correct answer.
Okay.
And then I got it tallied.
I understand that we're going off the honor system here, but I wonder if we can come up with some better system where, obviously, if I'm the last person and someone says, "I'm like, well, that's clearly the answer," then I could change my answer.
That's true.
Anyways, moving on.
Unless you want to write it down, and then you have to flip your paper over.
Ooh, yeah, okay. Let's see.
Go ahead.
I can find some paper.
All right. Oh, there he goes. He's out of here.
So you can, just find something to write it down. I don't know if I'll be able to see it, but we can make it somewhat big. Yeah, and dark, so I can read it.
I'll give you something big and dark.
I'll slide that dingle slider over.
We're going to name this episode The Dingle Slider.
All right.
All right. What, according to the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, is the most massively used thing in Interstellar Hitchhiker? Oh, I'm sorry. Let me start over. What, according to the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, is the most massively useful thing an interstellar hitchhiker can have? Okay. If I need to read it again, I can.
Oh, I thought we were supposed to just flash it.
I've read this book, and I don't remember.
Oh, my gosh. Okay. Do I need to read the question again, or are you just going to blank out on this?
Go ahead and go.
All right. Well, do you have something written down at least?
No, but it's okay.
Oh, my gosh. All right. Rivers, we'll go with you. He flashed it. What do you have? Okay. He has
The towel.
He has the towel. All right. Jeremy, what you got?
Bath towel. Can you see it?
Nope.
Oh,
it's green
shit.
screened.
I win. Fuck you, dude.
He just made himself disappear.
Boom.
And Anthony, I'm sorry, you immediately lose this one. Come on, this was the easy one. All
Come
right.
on.
I've read this book,
My
and I don't remember.
goodness. All right. Well, this next one you'll have a chance to catch up.
But I remember being very disappointed about how not good the book is. But moving on.
Okay.
Another
We'll go to my favorite category.
Wait, he does. Okay, so wait, we did no Wes Anderson, no Douglas Adams. Fucking, you're canceled.
Your comedy career makes so much more sense to me now.
You can't be on a nerd show now.
All right.
Okay. We're going to comics and video games.
Okay.
In 1982, this is starting off real well, right? Atari manufactured 12 million Pac-Man cartridges. That's pretty impressive, I think, for the Atari 2600. So how many Atari 2600s had been purchased at that time? Here are your multiple choice answers. 10 million, 12 million, 14 million, or 16 million. Okay, so there are 12 million Pac-Man cartridges.
Yeah.
So how many systems, basically? How many systems were sold at that time as well? 10, 12, 14, or 16 million?
Okay, I got mine.
Okay. All right, Anthony, we'll start with you. What you got? Okay, Anthony's got the 14 mil. Jeremy, you can just tell me yours. We're not going to be able to see your sheet.
12 million.
Okay.
I'm saying 16. I'm saying they're getting down with artificial scarcity.
Okay, well, all of you are incorrect. So
That's a really weird question.
Yeah, it's a terrible question.
it's a terrible question. But the answer is 10 million. 5 million unsold units contributed to Atari's subsequent downfall.
Oh, so that's that shit where they talk about, because there's that documentary about Atari where they're like, yeah, the ET game is a lot of that landfill, but there's even more shit in there.
There's more going on. Yep. Okay. All right. Now we're going to book smarts here. We're going to the science and technology. You should all know this one. Gosh, I hope you do. Anyway, I'm trying to give you easy ones so you get a few points in the bank. Come on, you got to get points in the bank before we go to the hard ones. Okay. So, what are the 4 states of matter? What are the 4 states of matter, guys? Come on. Come on. This one's easier than the Hitchhiker's one. Come on. Okay. Everybody ready? Okay. We will start. I already know Jeremy's probably going to get this one, so we'll start with Rivers. What you got, bud?
I got you solid, got you liquid, got you gas, got you flat.
All right. Do you concur, Jeremy?
I concur.
Okay. Anthony? All right. You're all good. Guess what? You get points. All right. Well done. Well done. Okay. This one's a little more interesting. Going into just straight up geek life. Which of these beverages has the most caffeine per ounce? Okay. I'm going to give you the choices here. Espresso, Monster Energy drink, Red Bull, or chocolate milk? Which one of these has the most caffeine per ounce? So espresso, Monster Energy, Red Bull, or chocolate milk?
This is tough
Ready?
because I've never had a Monster. I've never had a Red Bull.
Really? Wow.
All right, Jeremy, what you got? Let's start with you.
So,
What'd you say?
espresso.
Okay. Anthony?
Espresso.
Okay. Everybody says espresso. Wow. Okay. You're all correct.
All right.
Yay!
All right.
I figured the key there was it per ounce or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. This one's a little... We'll go to Geek Life again, just because I find this question very interesting. When duct tape was created in 1942 to help waterproof the ammo boxes, what was it known as? When duct tape was created in 1942 to help waterproof ammo boxes, what was it known as?
What was it known as?
What was it known as? Yeah.
It was called something different. Is that what we're
Correct.
saying?
Correct. And that's your only hint. All
Do
right.
you know the answer to this, Jeremy?
No.
Oh, okay. So we might have a catch up. All right, Rivers, what you got, bud?
This was easy. It was called DuckTales at the time.
Jeremy, what you got?
I was actually going to make the duck joke also, but duck tape with a
Okay.
K.
Anthony.
I wrote down a guess. I wrote down it's the laminator.
The laminator.
don't
I
know
can
why.
tell you for
Laminator.
certainty that it is not the laminator. So I'm
What?
very sorry.
Laminate is clear.
Rivers is also incorrect.
No, I'm not. It's got the Huey, Dewey, and the Louie.
And Jeremy is correct. It was
Oh,
known
really?
as duct tape.
At some point, it was known as
And in parentheses, it says probably because it
Wait,
was
hold on,
backed
stop.
on
It's
cut.
still known as duct tape. That's the name of the brand. This is I'm calling into question the Inquisitor here. The name of it is not duct tape at all because it actually is shit for ducks. It doesn't work very good because it's not heat resistant. It is called duct tape because water rolls off it like water off a duck's ass. It is still
There
called
you go.
duct tape. This question is invalid. I will ask the questions from here on out, sir. You're done. You're now a chat.
You have to question the cards there, sir.
He wants a recount.
You want to recount?
Too many legitimate.
Well, the good
questions
news is
to
the
ask.
last question, which is not yet, but the last question will be worth 8 million points. So whoever gets that one will win the game. Okay. Okay, where are we at? Okay. Which of these prefixes represents the smallest multiple? Okay. Pico, micro, nano, or milli? Smallest multiple. Smallest. Teeny tiny.
I'm assuming Jeremy knows the answer to this question.
Jeremy does know the answer to this question.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Anthony, what do you think it is?
I put nano.
Okay. Rivers.
I also put nano.
Okay. Now, Jeremy, would those two individuals be correct?
No, they would not.
And what is the correct answer?
Pico.
You are correct.
Yeah, he's correct. But guess what? Fucking duct tape. Wait, where did it go? Called motherfucking duct tape.
Oh, that's
So-
one brand, though. That's not
What?
the...
That's the brand. That's like
No.
Kleenex.
That's another
no,
brand.
fuck you. Throw that out. We're doing one more. I'm not losing this.
Okay. Two more to go.
Pico,
Okay.
huh?
Pico.
Into the minus 12.
Yeah. So me and Jeremy are tied because that is.
Oh.
Yeah, Pico is 1 trillionth. Yeah. 1 trillionth.
I'll tell you what. I love some pico with some like chips.
Isn't that
salsa.
great, though? Man,
I just had some actually. That was my dinner this evening.
delicious.
Pico with some guacamole.
All right. Have any of you seen the film Ghost World by any chance?
Oh, it's the one with Bill Murray and the Sigourney Weaver there. Yeah.
Close. The film Ghost World was based on a serialized story that first appeared in a comic book series by Daniel Close.
Called Ghost Book.
What was the name of that series?
I don't even know what Ghost World is.
Yep, I don't either.
Isn't that the one with the guy and with the Mila Jovovich and she's married to him? Right? Didn't the guy marry Mila Jovovich and then she does like a bajillion of these fucking movies called Ghost World?
I thought she married the guy from Resident Evil.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Anyway, she's in Ghost World. I'm going to write Mila Jovovich.
Is Ghost World where like someone's dating her boyfriend?
It sounds like no one's going to get this.
Periodically, like her boyfriend will appear.
That's the correct answer, Mila Jovovich.
Any other guesses?
Let's go to a different question.
Do we just the correct I don't know. The correct answer is 8 Ball. Have you ever seen 8 Ball?
Nope.
No. Wow. Okay.
Well, once we invalidate.
What about Battlestar Galactica? Anybody seen Battlestar Galactica? Can we go to a question about Battlestar Galactica?
It was
do it.
Okay.
made by a Mormon guy. That's all I know about it.
All right. Whether they're old school or made of metal or fancier versions that look like supermodels, the race of cybernetic bad guys in Battlestar Galactica are all called what? Anthony.
Cylons.
Jeremy.
Cylons.
And Rivers.
They're called IG-88.
They are Cylons. That is correct.
Yeah.
Oh, snap. Okay.
No, Jeremy has a real chance to catch up to me.
He's almost there.
He's
All
on the
right.
warpath. I don't like this.
Anthony and Rivers are tied.
What?
Yes. Jeremy is in a first place like you've never seen. Okay. Now, I do have to go grab another question because I didn't bring in a card up here.
Oh, hey, can I do one?
Hang on. I'm going to grab another card.
What's your question?
Okay. So this is a question. This is a real lightning round category. Famous last names, less famous first names. First up, what is the Fonz's first name?
First name?
Fonzarelli.
What's that?
Isn't it Fonzie Fonzarelli?
No, No, Fonzie is short for Fonzarelli. It's Arthur. Arthur.
Oh, that's right. It is Arthur Fonzarelli.
Second one, Frankenstein. Dr. Frankenstein. What's his first name?
Hold on. Is it Victor? It's Victor.
It's Victor, indeed.
Yeah.
And then lastly, and here's the fucker, Van Helsing. What is Dr. Van Helsing's first name?
William.
Abraham.
Wilhelm.
Abraham.
Okay.
The first
All right.
name.
We'll stick to
All right,
the
here we
movie
go.
theme. Okay, so if you remember our first week, I rattled off a question, and you had to name as many of this as you could.
Let's do it.
So since we're writing stuff down, let's go ahead and do this. I don't think we did this one, but these are sci-fi films. Okay, so go ahead and get sci-fi films in your mind.
There we
I'm
go.
going to give you 60 seconds to write
Wait.
down.
Just in general, just as many as you can.
Nope, I'm about to give you the topic right now. So you'll have 60 seconds to name sci-fi films starring Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Does falling out of a plane and living count as sci-fi? He's done that twice.
All right. Sci-fi films starring your boy Arnold. I'll give you a hint. There's 13 on this card whenever this card was made.
My guess is it doesn't have the last one.
Probably not.
It does not.
It's also kind of hard to, like, because some of these, like, at what point does it become so ridiculous that it becomes science fiction?
Right. I know where you're going with that. All right, just a few more seconds. Anthony looks puzzled. It's like he's watching them right now. He's watching those movies in his mind. Okay. Give you 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and done. Okay. Very nice, very nice, very nice. All right. Goodness gracious. I know you've probably all written these down, right?
Yes.
We're going to go on the honor system, so you have to show me. Well, I guess Jeremy can't, but I trust you, Jeremy.
I'm not.
I'm going to list them, and if you've got it, just raise your hand. That'll be the easiest way to do this, I think. All right, so obviously, let's go ahead. The Terminator, okay? 1, 2, Terminator 2, 3D, Battle Across Time. Do we have that one?
No, that's an amusement park ride. That doesn't count. That's not a movie.
Okay.
Oh, it's fucking not. It's Universal Studios. Yeah.
And
T3,
then Terminator 3. Yep. Okay.
And Genesis and Dark Fate.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those.
Predator. Anybody got Predator?
Got the one. Yeah.
All right. Running Man.
Yep.
Okay. Twins.
That's
Twins
not
is the name of the movie.
Twins is on here.
Twins is the
that
name of
is
the movie.
not.
Twins is on here. Yep.
It's not sci-fi.
I put.
You're gonna
Junior
question.
on it.
You're gonna question another one of these too, and I question that one. I definitely question the other one. Total Recall. We got Total Recall.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
that's the one I forgot. My goodness.
Yeah, Total Recall.
What?
Everybody loves Total Recall. Come on.
All of her
And of course, this is Anthony's favorite movie, Junior.
I got it.
I wrote down Junior.
Did you write down Junior?
I don't think that's sci-fi either.
I didn't think that one was sci-fi.
A
No,
man
that counts.
gets pregnant. They impregnate a biological
on.
man.
That's just
That's
reality now. I don't think
It
that's...
Put it down there.
Well, it wasn't 2020 back then, though. Okay.
Junior. I wrote down Junior as well. That counts.
Okay.
Wow.
The Last Action Hero.
Yeah, so I wrote that, but it was...
Yeah.
What I
That one's questionable.
yeah, it's
Very-
questionable.
That one's questionable.
That's a genre. That's not okay. Yeah.
End of Days.
Oh, I forgot about that.
End of Days.
End of fucking days right
There
there.
it is.
Yeah.
The Sixth Day.
I got the
I
motherfucking
put
stick
eighth
there right
day.
there, baby.
There it is. And Around the World in 80 Days.
What? He's in that? I thought it was Jackie Chan. It
And
is
that's what
fucking
we
Jackie
got. So we got
Okay, that's
we've got Terminator, Predator, Running Man, Twins, Total Recall, T2, Junior, Last Action Hero, T2 3D Battle Across Time.
that is the fucking amusement park ride. It does not count
And why is it on here? Is that was it a movie?
because whoever wrote this thing was lazy. They don't know. They never been to Universal Studios.
Good night.
That's
Okay.
I've ridden that ride.
End of Days, Sixth Day, T3, and Around the World in 80 Days. Those are on here.
Okay, and I would like to add. Okay, so Commando.
That is not science fiction.
Listen, here's what it is, though. It is an exaggerated version of physiology because he jumps out of a plane and is fine. So there's that. Also, Eraser has a rail gun, which is futuristic tech, and motherfucking Jingle All the Way has a jetpack.
Jingle All the Way.
These things
You know
exist.
what? I'm going to give you Jingle All the Way just because it's around the holiday season.
I got to tell you, I have a really funny story, and then just briefly, I have a buddy down in New Orleans who's a comedian who, he doesn't have a car, so he would ride the bus to go to comedy gigs. And while he was on the bus, he would contact bar shows in towns he was never going to go to, and he would claim that he was a Sinbad cover comedian called Sin Good. and he would book Sin Good in like Omaha or
Lord.
fucking like Twin Falls, Idaho, like someplace he would never go, and then Sin Good would just never show up. So anyway, Jingle All the Way, baby.
Oh,
I put True Lies. That counts.
True Lies.
All right, so-
Nice. That was it. Jeremy wins.
No,
True
And-
Lies, yeah.
And Anthony loses, which is the most important.
that's true. That is the theme of this show. That's what this whole show is about. Me losing. Well, Rivers, it's been a whole lot of fun having you on.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me. This was great, except for the part where I lost, and now I'm going to have to kill Jeremy.
Exactly. You're both.
Oh, the serious eyes.
We'll set the Hamilton-style duel, so you'll have to rap before.
But we'll have to actually do it at the restaurant Hamilton's.
There you go. Exactly. I like it. All right, Rivers, that's it. So, I always never know how to end these shows. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helped me out if you hit the bell button.
Well, you want me to do it? All right, here we go. All right. First of all, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Rivers Langley. Check out my podcast. It's called The Goods from the Woods. It comes out every week, now more than ever, on iTunes, SoundCloud, all those things. Yes, indeed. And as for this show, my God, Sci-Fi Gangsters, rate, review, subscribe. Turn on that damn bell, click the button, do yourself a favor, show the attitude of gratitude, and all that good stuff.
Well, thank you very much. That's a great way of ending that. Definitely check out The Goods from the Woods, Rivers podcast. Definitely check that out. Now, that's it. Goodbye, everybody.